And one. You're now tuned into the TrueNorth.bet podcast. Your host, Brandon Graham, and I'm pleased to be here with a special guest. Got Samir Azizi of the Azizi podcast. Samir,
Hey,
this has been a long
Double
time
Z.
coming.
What up?
Let's go. Let's go. What's going on, man? No, really
Hey,
pleased to have you on
Brandon,
the
so
podcast.
happy. So
Yeah.
happy to be here. Thanks so much for inviting. It's a true pleasure, man. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited as well, too, to get into this because we have a little bit of a spin of this TrueNorth.bet podcast where we're going to shift away from football and go a little bit more into a little bit of combative sports, but boxing in general. I had the pleasure of actually going to the United Promotions fight night
Oh,
held at the
cool.
CA Center. Yeah, really, really cool. CA
Mhm.
Center in Brampton. And I got a chance to see that. And you even told me pre-show that you were the one that actually kind of hooked up TrueNorth.bet and United Promotions back in the past. Is that true?
Yeah, it was great. Okay, so Tyler Buxton was on this show, actually, on my show, on Azizi podcast. He was a guest, and I just met him online and like, hey, come on the show. And ever since then, we were like great friends. And I came to his shows in Brampton for several years to support him and his boxers. And then the co-founder of TrueNorth.bet. Yuri Pershin, he's an old friend of mine as well, who was actually my Airbnb host when I first immigrated to Canada. So that's how I became friends with him. And so he told me about his project, about this platform. And I said, hey, like, I know this cool guy. I want you guys to like know each other. I feel like there's some business to do. And so I just created like this cute, this really quickly, like a WhatsApp chat between them. And it was so cool to introduce them and see like this partnership flourish. And I don't know, it was so cool. So I'm very happy for Tyler. I'm very happy for Yuri for TrueNorth.bet.
Right, absolutely. Yuri, Izel, great people, absolutely great people at TrueNorth.bet. Didn't get a chance to meet everyone, but I had an exceptional time coming from Brampton. I grew up pretty much in Brampton. CA Center used to be called the Powerade Center, so I used to go and play hockey there, play football there. I'd been there my entire life, baseball. So getting a chance to go there and actually watch a fight for the first time in my life. Never gone to a fight before, but I knew.
How was it? Tell me about your experience, man. I'm really curious.
Gosh.
I always
really,
love
really
when
cool.
people go to see fights for the first time. This is like.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you so much for being here. I love the energy, by the way. I love it. It's
I love
amazing.
it, man. I love it.
Love it. Yeah. No,
Hopefully
it was a
not
great
the last
experience.
time.
Yeah, hopefully not. No, we'll do some more, of course, too. It's just been a long time coming. I love the fact you reached out to me to get this done. This is awesome.
Of course.
No, my experience was great. I actually knew Joshua Frazier as we grew up not too far from each other.
No way.
Yeah, and Joshua Frazier.
He's an up-and-coming star. He's amazing, man.
He's really good. Yeah, so he grew up not too far from me in Brampton. So I know his brother really well, his dad really well.
Wow.
His dad was a former boxer as well too. So I got a chance to see him fight. Got a chance to see Josh Wagner from Orangeville, Ontario fight as well too. A number of guys.
Those are hardcore fighters, man. This is like
right.
You know what's the best thing? Mike Smith. Yeah. So go ahead, and I just want to like say something afterwards, but like yeah.
Go ahead.
So the cool thing about this two back-to-back shows that Tyler Buxton had on United Promotions is the fact that those fights were televised on DAZN. Yes. So those were like that's a huge step up for Tyler. It's a huge step up for the entire team and for the boxers to get that worldwide exposure. So I'm super excited, super happy for everyone.
Super happy. It was really, really cool. And I even asked Gazelle and Yuri, I'm like, hey, can I go down to where I see the judges and actually get some footage? And they're like, yeah, let me figure out what they do because you can go wherever you want. And then they said, oh no, it's done by DAZN. It's on TV. You can't go in that little area. I was this close to going, but I didn't. I got a chance to sit in a really good spot.
It's a serious business.
It was really cool to see on the top rope TrueNorth.bet there. When you go into the big screen, you saw TrueNorth.bet as one of the main sponsors that the ringman pretty much called out. So it was such a good experience. I had a lot of friends that were there as well too. Just coincidentally that happens, and I had a friend's cousin that fought the next day as well too. So it just a lot of people that they're kind of close to home there.
Man, how come you're not into boxing? All of your friends are there. Listen, what's happening?
If it's a big fight, it was fly. Listen, I'm a Floyd guy, of course, like Pacquiao. I'm gonna go to a lot more. I had the best time. The hospitality, everyone was really nice. Hospitality was great. Got great footage. Got a chance to speak to Josh Frazier. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. So I think now I'm just like I'm into it. I'm fully immersed in this, of course. And that's why we're here to talk about this, of course, man. So it's great. Yeah. So yourself, like your background, of course, you love boxing, you love crypto, so on and so forth. This big fight that's coming up between Triple G and Canelo Alvarez. Are you looking forward to this? Like, what do you think about this fight, man?
Man, you have no idea. Okay, so a little bit of a backstory why this fight matters and why this fight matters in my life so much.
Right.
I myself from Kazakhstan. I was born and raised in Kazakhstan, and so was Triple G. Gennady Gennadievich Golovkin is from Kazakhstan. So he grew up in this coal miner city called Karaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the city of very tough people. And he was
Mm-hmm.
boxer there, was one of the best ones, one of the best amateurs. He won a lot of contests, and he became a silver medalist of the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, his signature style is later on was called a Mexican style, because he is just a moving forward kind of guy. Unlike Floyd Mayweather, that you just mentioned, who is a master at his craft, and he's an amazing athlete. Triple G style is not like of like a defensive, but more of like an offensive style. He goes at you and he just crushes you. He crushes your body. He crushes your skull. It's just like the way he fights. He drops everyone. He had the most consecutive knockouts out of all middleweights in a while. And so he started his career in Germany once his professional career, and he's been fighting there for his first, I believe, like 9 or 10 fights. Until he moved to California around 2012 or 2011. I apologize to the true hardcore fans if I'm mixing up the dates, where he's a good friend of mine, promoter Tom Loeffler, actually started working with him and started promoting Triple G. Triple G is his allies, his nickname. So they started developing this fighter in California, and the fans just take a liking to him right away. And this is where he got his style nickname, Mexican style, right? The Mexican culture, the Mexican fans just embraced him. And in California, it's a very huge Latin American Mexican culture. And his trainer, Abel Sanchez, was really detrimental and instrumental in developing his style even further. And so he became a champion of the world really quickly. I think even from Germany, he already had a belt, but like in California, that trio, Tom Loeffler, Abel Sanchez, and Triple G, they were able to achieve amazing things. At the end of the day, they had several belt champions, and including the Ring magazine. So basically, he was fighting always at middleweight, and he was crushing and destroying everybody. And he was also called a boogeyman because no one wanted to fight him. Miguel Cotto didn't want to fight him. A lot of people just avoided him, including the star of one of the star of this weekend, Canelo Alvarez. He didn't want to fight him either, but they were all like, but that was the biggest fight to make because Canelo was always the superstar in boxing as well, and he was up and coming as well. He was a rising star, and he was already like peaking as well. And that fight was just made in heaven. Triple G versus Canelo for a long time. And at some point, when Canelo had the WBC belt, and Triple G became the mandatory to fight Canelo, Canelo basically didn't want to fight him, and he just gave up the belt just to not to fight him. I don't know, scared or not. I think he was scared. So that's kind of like, and this hype was like kind of building up. This fight was building up, and Triple G was like crushing guys left and right, and Canelo was going and fighting. He was fighting Amir Khan at that time, someone else, and also like knocking out people. It was like a knockout power from all around. And then finally, in 2017, the fight was announced in September. It was the first fight, their first fight of the trilogy.
Right.
So this is where they start fighting. I'm gonna stop right there.
No, keep going. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. No, you gave me the backstory of everything, and it makes sense because after watching Triple G's pretty much his fight breakdown of everything that happened in the trilogy, from his trainer to himself, I learned a lot, and I learned, of course, that Canelo Alvarez did kind of drag it out, or his team kind of dragged it out for a while until he was a little bit older, then took the fight, and of course, then had the draw in the first round in 2017 and 2018.
Yeah,
people said it was one of the worst judged fights. That's what I was seeing. And his trainer did say this. He said, his coachman said this. He said, "Hey, we believe that Canelo Alvarez is just an average fighter that was Mexican, that they pretty much rose up to the top. That's how we've always looked at him." So in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, this guy Triple G he's a boss. He's a boss. He knows what he's doing." And I watch all of his footage, and this guy, his footwork is immaculate. He has great power. He's always on the attack. You never really see him backing up too much. And I have a lot of respect for Triple G, a lot of respect for both of them. But I don't like the fact that Canelo waited so long until that fight, because he was definitely avoiding them for a good amount of time. Yeah, is that true? Do you believe that?
Of course. And Yeah, so I just want to add two remarks. First of all, I think Canelo is an amazing athlete. He's one of the best boxers. He proved himself over and over. So I definitely do not want to diminish Canelo's achievements in boxing. And at the same time, when I said Triple G is a forward punching, I don't want to sound like he's just like a one-dimensional. Triple G has the best jab right now in boxing, in my opinion. His footwork, as you said, is great. He's always, the way he's cutting the ring, it's a work of art. And just like the fact that, his ring IQ and in his defense is always great. So Triple G is definitely a professional with the capital, from the capital letter, basically. And I do believe that Canelo dragged it out. Boxing, first of all, professional boxing is a business. Right. And Canelo was a superstar, and it was all about money, of course, for the first, that's my opinion. Triple G, at that point of his career, he was a bit romantic. He really believed that it's a sport. He really wanted to have all the belts. He really believed that everything's going to be fair and all of that. So this is where the first fight comes in. And the way first fight in September 17 happened is so the two guys clashed together, and Triple G was just pressuring Canelo. Canelo was on the ropes all the time, and it was just like obvious that Triple G just like hitting him and like landing his punches. At some point, Canelo put his best power punch on Triple G's jaw, and all Triple G did is just kind of like this. He just fainted a little bit, and he actually nothing happened to him at all. And you could see Canelo's eyes. He was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like,
my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know if I can cuss here, so I'm not gonna.
Go ahead.
So yeah, at that point, everyone realized like, oh my God, Triple G just took the best punch from Canelo, and nothing happened. Triple G just keep pressuring. So at the end of the fight, everyone was confident Triple G will win. This is crazy. Everyone was scoring the fight for Triple G. I think the most 115, 113 was like the majority of like the journalists and fans. That's how they scored for Triple G, if not wider for Triple G. But when the scores were announced, it was only one judge who gave it to Triple G. And I think the other judge, gave it a draw, and another, I might be mistaken at this point. To be honest,
fine. It's 2016, 5 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and what was the most kind of like horrific judging was the fact that one judge, I'm not gonna call the name, but this one judge gave the fight to Canelo Alvarez with a horrendous score of 118-110.
Oh, that's wild. Yes. That's uncomfortable. Like even me, I do teaching as well, and I know what's right, what's wrong. That I watched that fight too. There's no way that could be the score
exactly,
too, right?
Exactly. And that's why everyone just got so freaked out. It's like, oh my God, this is an obvious setup. What's happening? Right. And so the fight ended up in a draw, and that just disappointed so many people. There was a huge scandal about it. Everyone was furious about it. It was just like horrible. Everyone was saying, including me, that Triple G got robbed at this first fight.
Yeah.
That's why, and this is where the rematch got announced after some time.
Yeah, but he of course he gets a little bit older, of course. I mean, he still has the best jab.
That's not it. This is not even the drama. I'm gonna tell you what happened afterwards.
Before, I want you to hold that thought real quick because I want to ask you about this because even with the United Promotions fights, and I've realized this as well too. Like for instance, with Josh Frazier, I was talking to his brother. He said like, "Hey, I don't know if I can say this, but I'm gonna say it." There was another fighter that pretty much was supposed to fight Joshua Frazier because he's 6-0, all right, on a tear right now. He has really electric punches. He's up and coming for sure. But the man from Ireland he was supposed to fight couldn't get his visa, so they had to put another guy in to fight him. And
this happens.
It happens, and he didn't really make weight, so on and so forth. He knew he was going into something. I saw him smiling after the fight after he got pretty much knocked out. I'm like, that's kind of, and so pretty much Joshua knew he was going to win that fight, and it's just like the politics that are in the game are something else. As well as the Josh Wagner fight. Josh Wagner had a really good fight in the main event on the Friday night, the first night. And I saw when he going 10 rounds, kind of wore his opponent down. I wonder if that's a strategy too that I'm going to get into and talk to you about. But I remember he gave him one punch and he kind of stunned him. So when you talk about the Triple G getting hit by Canelo, one punch stunned Josh Wagner's opponent. And next thing you know, after that, it was just he just got diminished pretty much. He got pretty much canceled. So do you know when you're watching these fights exactly when there's a certain punch that pretty much gets?
Oh, you can hear it.
You can hear it.
You can hear the slap of leather on your face. It's just like that. Like if the whole crowd can hear it, even with this when the auditorium is just so packed. Right. So you can definitely know when the power punch and the power punch. And for the further effect, when you get punched by a power punch in the middle of the ring with lights and all, it's like the Rocky movie, man. The sweat, like this whole everything, like just flies.
Everything
Like
just
you can see the wave of power, especially when they do a review, like a replay in slow mo. You could see the power. So yeah, so those were the power punches from one of the best power punches, and Triple G just took it like it was nothing. So that's when like Triple G, like everyone said, like, oh shit, like Triple G has that granite chin.
Granted, chin of steel altogether. I wonder too how these guys can keep punching each other and then either go up and hug themselves after, like hug the guys after. I don't know if I got in a fight. I don't know if I want to hug the guy after. I don't know how they do that, but I guess that's more so the sport in general.
Well, sportsmanship, man. Yeah, that's the gentlemanship of the sport. Not always happens, by the way.
Not always. It doesn't always happen. But you said something about you were going to go into the second fight and of course the third fight. Okay. You had something to say. Go ahead.
All right. So that happened, right? The first fight happened and the dust settled and everything. Like, all right, it's time for a rematch. Like this cannot just end like this. The viewers are not satisfied. The fighters are not satisfied. And you know what? That's even better for the business because now there's more hype. There's more money. Everyone wants to see the fight. Everyone wants it to be settled.
Of course.
So yeah, this really helped Triple G's in negotiations because Canelo is always a superstar. He's an A side and all of that just because of that, economically speaking. But Triple G was able to negotiate a very good purse for himself. I believe it was like 45-55% split, which was a great deal. It was fantastic. And so the promotion was in full swing. It was LA Live promotion. The Rock announced the fight on HBO. Like everyone was like going nuts. It was going down. It was crazy. Triple G was super ready. And then one day, no one expected it. And out of nowhere, there is a report by, I'm not sure whom, I forgot. But basically, the report says that Canelo Alvarez tested positive for prohibited for PED, for performance enhancing drugs. Yeah. He got tested for clenbuterol. So that's a drug that increases your muscle mass and all of that during preparation. Wow. And everyone just got shocked that Canelo got popped for PEDs. Wow. So that's where the drama kind of even picked up even more because, okay, on one hand, we have a cheater. He cheated. He tested positive for PED. On the other hand, this is where the shady stuff comes in. Maybe, I don't know. He is the superstar. He's basically feeding the entire boxing nation. Yeah, no, of course. All right. Totally. So at this point, okay, I'm not gonna say anything that is I don't know any facts. So I'm just speculating here. I'm just saying that's true. Like he is the money making machine. In any case, the fact is that he got banned for a measly 6-month probation ban. So it was not 2 years. Like other fighters get banned for like Jarrell Miller, for example, got popped and banned for like 3 or 2 years, I think. 3 years not making any money? Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Gosh, and so Canelo, he is he got banned for 6 months. It was like a slap on the wrist, and after that there was like the whole thing where they explained. Well, actually, Canelo denied it. Canelo said like, hey, so again, like I cannot say anything for sure, but like that's the fact that he got popped and he got banned. So he said, hey, I'm a clean fighter. I'm not taking any drugs. He swore and all of that. How they explained it is that when he trains in Mexico, Mexican beef has a special substance in it for the cattle to have more meat on them. That includes clenbuterol. So what he says is that in Mexico, while he was training in Mexico, he was eating beef there, and that beef contained that clenbuterol. And that's how he explained the situation. Now, do you want to believe this or not? That's up to anyone. The fact is, he still got popped. He got banned. He did later do like a hair follicle test that shows like extra stuff. And to be honest, and that stuff was like clean, like that's where like it saves like anyway. So basically he did additional testing, which was like a fucking CSI Miami stuff. And so that thing was clean, without fairness. Yeah. So who knows? But yeah, so that's the fact. And Triple G did not appreciate that at all. He did not like that. He protested that. He still went, like obviously the fight that was scheduled for May for Cinco de Mayo got canceled. And Triple G still fought. He fought David Avanesyan, I think, and he won by a knockout. But obviously, the fighter was not like way off
the same level. Yeah,
not the same level. Yeah, so but it is what it is. Triple G was in camp and he wanted to fight someone. He had all this energy, all this preparation. He had to fight someone. So that happened. And so then later in September 2018, that's when the fight actually happened. And this is where the fight was pretty equal. This time around, Canelo was actually forward going and Triple G was like a clash. So they were both like exchanging punches.
Mhm.
just and Triple G was really leaning into his jab, and he performed his jab masterfully. But again, at the end of the day, so the fight was actually more close, and a lot of people say like, hey, I can see it either way, or I can see the split, and I can see Triple G winning or Canelo winning. Yeah,
Shab,
so they gave it to
Shab,
Canelo.
Shab,
Yeah, at the end of the day,
Shab.
they gave it to Canelo. Now,
Right.
despite Triple G's jab, although if you look at the punch stats, Triple G was still up with his the landing of his jab and punches.
Right.
And obviously, Triple G was not happy with that, and after that, there was like a whole thing with the zone and all of that. But the fight basically did not. The third fight, anticipated fight, people anticipated. People were still not happy with the outcome, and they were anticipated the third fight, the rubber stamp match, and that fight got postponed unfortunately for 4 years with pandemic, with COVID, with negotiations, with the zone and all of that. And now finally the fight number 3 is happening now, and I'm gonna stop right here for a second.
Yeah, catch your breath for a second. No, that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. I wonder, with all the negotiations that happened, and of course people, this is even a question I just have for you, because of the East Coast bias, or like the North American bias, it plays a factor. It has to.
Of
These
course.
judges that are judging these fights, I'm pretty sure sometimes they want to appease towards the Mexican supporters, or Americans that are Mexican, so on and so forth. So do you ever think that it's crooked sometimes with the judging? Like, how do we really judge equitably when there's so much bias towards like the Western world with these fights, especially with someone from Kazakhstan, your hometown, your home country as well too? Like, do you find that there's some bias in that at all, or is you think it's fair most of the time?
It is my opinion that it's obviously there is a bias there. There is a monetary incentives, and I wouldn't say there is straight out outright corruption where someone gets like money under the table and all that. But there are incentives, and there are certain things. The boxing world is a very small world, and I even would go as far as say like judges. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think judges getting their money out of promoters' pocket, like officially, that's the rule. Like the promoter of the fighter pays the judge.
Pays the judge
his
okay,
salary.
cool.
I think
are they
so.
choosing these judges?
Yes, they're also choosing these judges. They need to like agree with that with commission and the opponent and all of that. But yes, so but there's only so many judges that you can choose from and all of that. But again, correct me on that information. But I feel like as far as I understand, in a lot of cases that's the situation. And of course, the accommodation, the dinners, or like you judge certain fight this way, or if you cross someone, you're not going to get invited to the next fight, for example. So yeah, that happens too. So obviously but I think it's about incentives, and it's about also the perception. Some judges are just can be like thinking like, oh, like no way this guy loses. Like I will never be the guy who judges against him. So, again, speculation, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that gives me a little bit more insight, because every time I watch, I'm like, how does Floyd Mayweather go undefeated? There there has to be some.
Oh, listen, Floyd is a different story. Floyd is a different story. You can never catch Floyd, man. No, you can never land on Floyd.
so Canelo actually deserved to win. Sorry, Floyd actually deserved to beat Canelo that time when he actually fought him.
Oh yeah, 100%. Floyd Mayweather scolded him. He's cooled Canelo. Canelo was young. He's still developing, and you could see that Canelo. Even the fact that one judge gave the fight to Canelo was already like controversial. So yeah, Floyd, in my opinion, won like straight up. He won that fight. Okay. Not even a discussion in my opinion.
Do you think Floyd is the best middleweight? Yes, middleweight of all time.
Floyd's lightweight. Yeah, he's a lightweight. He's a much lighter, but he's one of the best boxers ever. In my opinion, Floyd is up there with Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson.
Oh wow, okay. So of course, because he's undefeated, so he has to be up there.
Well, and just his skill alone, you cannot catch Floyd. You can never it's funny how when he was like in his pretty boy Floyd stage where he was actually going for a knockout, and then he became Money Mayweather, Money May. And that's when he realized, all right, it's not about, me knocking out someone. It's about me talking shit about stuff. And you try to beat me, and everyone tries to pay him money to see him lose. And he is not losing because you cannot catch him. And that's why Floyd, the craftsmanship of the Floyd, you can never disrespect that. That's an amazing craftsmanship.
Yeah, he's been touched sometimes, but he never really falters.
The one guy who touched Floyd was Marcus Maidana.
Yes.
He really touched. It's funny. Like one time, Maidana on his Twitter account, he posted a photo of a tooth attached to a necklace. And he claimed that this is a Floyd's tooth, and he's wearing it as a necklace sometimes. So I mean, it's not proven, but that was just a funny story.
That's really funny. Okay, perfect. So I need your predictions. We have like 7 minutes in this free chat. Make sure I upgrade for the next time. Need your predictions for Triple G, Canelo Alvarez, number 3, part 3 in Las Vegas. I love Las Vegas, but this is MGM. Pretty well, wherever it's gonna be an incredible time. First of all, have you? There we go. Have you ever been to one of these fights before?
Of course, man. I went to several Triple G fights. I went to other fights as well. I went to different club shows, including 360 Promotions by Tom Loeffler, who's a good friend of mine and a promoter for Triple G in Los Angeles. I also went to a lot of United Promotions fights, and also for Lee Baxter's fight here in downtown Toronto. So yeah, fights are always great, always, a crazy atmosphere. I went to a fight when Triple G was fighting a Canadian, Steve Rolls, in Madison Square Garden. That was an amazing experience as well. Wow. So and in terms of a prediction, I would say this: a lot of people are speculating and they're saying Triple G is not at the level that he used to be. After all, he's 40 years old, and he has the ring rust. But I would bet against it. I would say that, hey, like, at the end of the day, Triple G knows what he's doing, and he has an amazing team around him, including his very great nutritionist that he has right now. So he's looking in shape. He's looking really great. He's very calm. He's more experienced. He's mentally very much more prepared for that. And most importantly, here's how I think the fight will go. I think the fight will go pretty equal. I don't think there's going to be a knockout. Maybe there's going to be a knockdown or so. And it's going to be like a huge kind of like, wow, what's going to happen? Now, what if Canelo gets dropped? What if Triple G gets dropped? But I feel like at the end of the day, Triple G will utilize his jab more and more, and Canelo will have nothing to put against it. Canelo comes off from the loss from Dimitri Bivol, where Dimitri Bivol schooled Canelo Alvarez even further than he did with Floyd Mayweather, and Canelo was just not in good shape. And a lot of my friends who are professional trainers in boxing, they tell me like Canelo is actually not in a good shape. They're seeing his training videos and they're seeing something different. So yeah, so I say this: the fight was going to be pretty even, and at the end of the day, Triple G's jab will decide the situation, and Triple G will win on points. That's my prediction.
Wow, there we go. I'm agreeing with you. I wouldn't go against you at all. I think you know exactly what you're supposed to do. And to be honest with you, with Canelo losing in that fight, this is a vulnerable time for him as well, right? Like, this can be a time where he can go in there and actually lose, and he's got to build himself back up as we go. I had something else to say, but I can't now. Thank you, Samir. Azizi, I cannot wait for this fight. I cannot wait for this fight. It's going to be incredible.
Saturday. It's on DAZN. You have to purchase it on DAZN pay-per-view. Right. Unfortunately, it was supposed to be like a free stream back in the day, but now the pay-per-views are back, so you got to pay out. But that's one fight that actually worth the money.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is kind of like not the last, but one of the best fights we're going to see for a long, long time. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, Samir, where can people find you? First of all, I haven't even asked you about that. Where can they find you on Instagram, on Twitter? Where can they find you?
So my handle everywhere is AZZ, ADOUBLEZI. And my podcast name is Azizi Podcast. Azizi Podcast, you can find it everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. And definitely follow me on every social media you can. Let me know where you found me from. And I just wanted to say also thank you so much, Brendan, for inviting me. TrueNorth.bet podcast. I'm pretty sure Triple G Canelo will be on the platform for betting, and it's going to be one of the best fights to bet on. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me.
There we go. Perfect. Samir, thank you so much for joining me. That was excellent energy. Definitely have to do this again, of course, soon. Talk about some more things. I'm so glad we did this, and I look forward to the next one. But this is the TrueNorth.bet. Yeah, go ahead.
I do want to talk about football next time too, because I was watching football all day yesterday. I was like, damn, I got to talk with Brandon about it, because that Packer game, because I'm a Packers fan and I'm really disappointed. And I was wondering what you think. But anyways,
I'll answer it. I think Aaron Rodgers is I played quarterback in high school, university for a bit. Aaron Rodgers throws the ball the best I've ever seen. I think he's the best thrower over the football ever. But he's without Devontae Adams. All right. Yes. One of the first drives of the entire game, he throws it up to Watson, a new receiver,
and they messed it up.
In his hand, dropped the ball, right? So that changed the landscape of the entire. If you really want to think about it, changing the landscape of the entire game, couldn't really get the ball around, couldn't run the ball as well with Aaron Jones or AJ Dillon, and defense wise, Jefferson is really one of the best receivers in the league. It's him, Jamar Chase, who's I'm a Bengals guy, and those two went to school together. They're both, and they won the championship with Joe Burrow and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's another story for another day. But the Packers, I don't know what's happened, but understand this: the last 2 years, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have lost the first game, and what has happened in those 2 years? Aaron Rodgers has won the MVP.
Exactly.
So you never know. You can never say never. I think Aaron Rodgers and those guys will figure it out. They might get a new piece here and there over the course of the year, because it's Aaron Rodgers, right? This guy is such a technician with the football. Of course, says he's immunized and there's some other issues with vaccinations, but he's an incredible talent. And I would never want to have another quarterback. That's what it comes down to, right? So that's my take on it. But I want to talk about this more later on.
Let's do it. All right, Brandon, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. This is TrueNorth.bet podcast and your host, Brandon Graham, with Samir Azizi of the Azizi podcast. Can't wait to see you guys. Keep balling. Of course, let's go.